Welcome to Toni Unleashed, the podcast where we unleash the truth about all things pets.
Our research and anecdotal evidence matched with pet expert interviews will help you help your pet thrive.
We are here to answer questions, divulge information, and spread awareness about what's really going on in the world of pets.
I am your co-host, Emily Taylor, pet nutrition enthusiast.
And I'm Toni Shalasky, owner of Healthy Pet Products with 3 locations in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, and recently expanded to Port Charlotte, Florida. Welcome to the show.
Hello, and welcome back to Toni Unleashed, the podcast. So today we're going to be talking about CBD oil and how freaking amazing it is for sick, anxious, healthy animals, dogs, and cats. We sell a lot of this at the store. But, you know, as wonderful as it is, it's a really complicated topic in terms of regulations, standards, and processing that even Toni and I have a really hard time breaking down, understanding, and articulating it back. Mm-hmm. So we're going to keep this episode simple and sweet based off what we know. Ultimately, what we do know and what we're very confident in knowing and understanding is how incredible CBD is as a source of healing and just overall nutrients and wellness for the dog's body. And we want you to be able to be educated to know how to appropriately buy this product for your dog. We carry 3 very specific brands: CBD Dog Health, which is a full spectrum CBD. We carry Pet Relief, which is full spectrum cannabinoids, Healthy Hemp, which is full spectrum hemp oil, and I think they have cannabinoids in it, and Austin and Cat, which is a CBD oil, which is infused with botanicals. So just right there, I think that pretty much shows how complex this topic is and how there's going to be a lot of information for us to dive deep into.
So those are 4 brands, and I do have to, I promise I'm not going to get overly off topic here, but I do have to mention that there are hundreds of brands on the market. And as you all always hear me say, question everything. So I do have to tell you a brief story because I've been in the pet food industry almost 14 years now. And I go to 2 trade shows every year: Global Pet Expo, which is in Florida, Super Zoo, which is in Las Vegas every year.
I think I know where you're going with this, and it's good.
Yep. So about,
it's relevant.
Do you think 6 years? Maybe 7?
I don't know. I've only gone to 1.
So this is before Em started going to shows, but I'm going to say 6-7 years ago, there were no CBD company booths, like 0. Okay. Then there were CBD manufacturers tucked in to other booths, almost like they were afraid to have their own booth, didn't have the money to have their own booth at that time. It wasn't quite out there yet. You know, it was like the unspoken topic. So that's when we first started hearing. And it was just like you'd go to a booth and they'd say, "Toni, have you heard of CBD?" And I'm like, "I have. What do you know?" And so it was just this like little gossipy chain that I would get at the shows. And they would say, "Well, so-and-so's in so-and-so's booth because they can't have their own booth yet," and blah, blah, blah. And then the next year, there was probably 4 booths of CBD manufacturers. And the next year, there was probably 15. Like it tripled, quadrupled. And then there's more. And then there's more. And then there's treat manufacturers that have CBD in them. And it's just, you know, everybody, just like with everything, if they see an opportunity to make money,
right,
they're going to jump on the bandwagon. And of course,
and usually try to make it the cheapest way possible.
And they're going to say that theirs is the best because of this, that, and the other. So buyer beware. So I just had to kind of preface that whole building of that CBD industry in the pet world. The 4 manufacturers that we carry are all very high quality products that we spent a ton of time, and honestly, time is money, in researching them. And our first brand was Pet Relief, the full spectrum cannabinoid. And these benefit all animals, all 4 brands that Em already talked about. And it depends on the situation, the dog, the health impact to decide which product is best for your pet. And just like weed, for lack of a better word, everybody responds to it differently. Everybody responds to different strains. And it's the same in the cannabinoid world and the CBD world. So not every dog and cat's going to respond the same way. And you don't know until you try. And it's not harmful to try it.
No.
So the main function, like Em had already said, is to bring the body back to homeostasis so that it can function properly. This is what makes it great for the immune system. It's going to help with inflammation. Inflammation is the root of disease. So if we reduce inflammation right out of the get-go, we're reducing the possibility of disease taking hold in your dog or cat's body. Other benefits, brain connectivity. So cognitive health, gut health. Gut health, because we're reducing inflammation. Our gut is in a constant state of inflammation because we're constantly digesting food. Anxiety, etc. I mean, we could go on and on and on. Seizures. And there's a success story that we want to share with you. And this is just one of many that we can talk about.
So CBD is most commonly associated with dogs with anxiety, seizures, or pain, but CBD is also extremely beneficial for healthy dogs as well. I personally have one, I mean, you've heard me talk about it before, immunosuppressed dog and one healthy dog. Now they both get CBD and they both get it in 2 different forms. I kind of use it as an everyday staple for my dogs. And I use one as a treat, which, and Angie will probably talk about this, it's not going to be as easy to absorb or as concentrated. And then 2, the other one I use is an oil, and I put it directly in his mouth. So when you're doing an oil, though, I'll just say that I know this. Administering CBD also directly affects the way it's absorbed and utilized in the body. So if you put it into their food, a lot of the acid in the digestive tract and then in the intestines is going to kind of take away from that. It's going to be a lot harder for that CBD to be absorbed. So you're going to have to use, if that's the only way you can get an oil into your dog, you're going to have to increase the amount because you're going to lose some of it in that process. You can put it in the ear, but it's not going to be as absorbable and it's going to take a lot longer to be in effect. The best and the quickest way that to administer CBD to a dog that I've heard from pretty much everyone has said this from talking to all of the different companies is directly in the bloodstream. So like your gums, your gum line, a dog's gum line. If you can get oil right there in between like the cheek and the bottom of the jaw, just kind of slip that little dropper in there, kind of rub it in. That's great. Another way you can kind of replicate that is putting a lot on a little piece of bread, because the bread might stick to the back of their gums and their cheeks and their mouths, and that's going to allow the CBD to be absorbed that way as well. So I have a dog that used to fight it, and it's not, even though they fight it once, you can kind of get them into taking it over time, with treats and training and repetition. But And I use it for my healthy dog. He does have general anxiety, sure. He's a little bit scared and timid. So that kind of helps keep his body, calmer, because when you have high levels of fear and anxiety, your body takes away some of that vitamin C and it reduces the immune system. So that's bringing it back to the level of homeostasis. But he's also an incredibly active dog. He's a smart dog. And I want to keep all the inflammation down from his activities. I want to keep that brain, functioning, those connections connecting. And, the brains are part of why, our brains have cannabinoid receptors that allow for the CBD to be absorbed and allow for the homeostasis. So that's one of the main ways that we can target that level of being even keel and non-inflammatory. So I just want to keep his body thriving and functioning for as long as possible, so he can live as long as possible to prevent anything, like if something does happen, his body's able to fight it off. His body's able to handle it appropriately, because he's been given those tools to handle, whatever life has to offer.
Yep.
And Yeah, so I live by it. I mean, he's also has a couple of like little, he has one little leaky eye from an injury, and he has a couple other small injuries, and that keeps, the joint tissues, connecting and strong. Fluid, yeah.
One point I want to make about joints. A lot of customers will come in asking for CBD for joint support, and they're not wrong. But my first question to them is, are you doing a glucosamine, chondroitin, or hyaluronic acid supplement? And most of the times they're saying no.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, guys, that's not your first step. Your first step is to support the joint with glucosamine and chondroitin, a good quality supplement in clovers, connectin, hip and joint.
Which both my dogs get that too. So that's the baseline.
You have to start there.
Yeah.
And then we see how far we get with that, and then incorporate CBD if needed, or we save the CBD for when they are 15 years old or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not the place to start, in my humble opinion, for hip and joint support. You've got to support the function of the joint, and CBD primarily is just going to reduce inflammation. So
general pain, probably.
And pain, correct.
Right. Though it is beneficial, but
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think that to wrap up our CBD issue, I think another great point would be to say, out of all the 4 companies, we've been provided with an immense amount of education, and we will have upcoming interviews with owners and manufacturers
mm-hmm.
in this space that we trust and that give us a lot of support and training and education.
Yeah.
So more to come. As usual.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Thanks for joining in, and we'll
see you next time, or hear you next time.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye.